Kurt, you know Joe almost as well as I do. You know that he's clean cut, but man, there's this dark side to Joe. So I'm actually worried about asking this question, but here you go. Daddy, tell me a story. Joe, what's the worst thing you've done at your company?
Oh man. So I had been with the company for maybe less than a year. We'll go with that. Less than a year.
The company that he's talking about isn't currently his company. It's a mythical company that he may or may not have worked at in actuality.
Dark industry.
Plenty of people know what I did, and I still get poked fun at. And so I'm working on a bit of code, and I have to update it in our code repository. And I'm using a software for a repository that I had never used before. It's called ClearCase ClearQuest. Our company doesn't use it anymore. And so I was told to consult with one of the people who had been there for a long time about pushing my code to ClearCase ClearQuest. And so...
Hey, that 5 times real fast.
And so he... so I put my code in there where I was told to put it. And he told me that my code should be the only thing in there to get pushed forward. And I'm like, what about all this other stuff that's here? He's like, no, delete it. And I was like, that doesn't sound right. So I waited a day and I went back to him again. I'm like, are you sure about all this stuff that's here isn't supposed to be here? And I even had him come over to my desk and look. He's like, no, it's not supposed to be there. Delete it. I'm like, okay.
You never delete anything.
I deleted it. And for some reason, this specific section of the repository was a mixed section. It wasn't just our code. It was multiple departments code. And
was there an undo button? Was there an undo button? Tell me.
I deleted the source code for an entire team's repository.
Wow.
And they did not have most of that backed up to another location because that was supposed to be the repository. So I don't know how much the company ended up paying to have one of those services where they come and try to reclaim deleted data. But I'm sure they paid a lot to have them try to reclaim that deleted data because I had deleted all of their source code.
That's how COVID happened.
and so, yeah, the person who it impacted the most, he was the team lead, or at least the one that I talked to the most. Every now and again, he still pokes fun. Like I'll be in a meeting and he knows I'm there, and they'll be like, someone will talk about how they messed up, and he'll just be like, at least you didn't delete someone's code repository.
Wow.
and so yeah, he in the almost 11 years since that happened, he's brought it up several dozen times in different meetings. Usually he doesn't call me out specifically as the one that does it, but obviously it's geared towards me. No, he laughs about it actually, but
yeah, but I like people. I call them by the stuff they've done in their past. Like I have 2 people under my employ now that when they were teenagers, they essentially got arrested for terroristic acts. So I call them terrorists. Yeah, like, hey, terrorist. I'm like, that's so funny. It's like, yeah, it is. You're laughing. It's funny.
So yeah, I have learned basically don't delete stuff.
So how many years ago was it?
This would have been in 2013, so 11 years ago.
Was the 3-2-1 principle not out then? 3 backups, 2 offsite, 1 hard copy, or a hard drive?
I'm sure it was. That doesn't mean our company did anything close to it.
That's crazy.
So even now, we don't
you just
really
gave Kurt a few more gray hairs with that one.
Even now, we don't really have multiple copies of our source code. Although the software that we're using now, like, we don't save it, but the software that we have does save each iteration, a snapshot of each iteration when you update it. So you can revert back to.
Where?
The software that we're using now is called
in
RTC.
the Adobe Cloud.
It's all in that one service, though. It's not in multiple locations.
So if that service is like CloudStrike and has a problem, it could really mess you up for a little while.
Yes, it could.
Wow.
You basically have to hope that some people have a local copy that they're working on saved off.
There are services now that will back up SaaS services. Software as a service, which is basically this cloud repository. It'll back things like that up to another separate place so that you can recover.
Now, I should say that's just our code repository. Our servers, our data, everything else has multiple backups because
you'll have to have an Iron Mountain account.
We are legally obligated that if there is an issue, because it's an insurance company and we also handle Medicare because we have that contract, that we're only allowed to lose, I think it's like 12 hours of data in the event of a disaster or something like that. So,
which is honestly a little bit unreasonable. But
well, then you have to retain for like 7 years or something like that. I mean,
if it's only 7 years, you're lucky. We've got stuff that we have. I think the highest I've seen is 13 years, and that's assuming that it's not being subpoenaed because we've got some data that we can't delete because of ongoing litigation that has been ongoing since before I started at the company.
Well, that's different. Like if it's ongoing, fine. But I think the HIPAA rule of thumb was 7 years.
Yeah, but we've got other stuff even outside of the litigation that we have set to keep for 13 years.
Yeah.
Cause with the win. You guys are creeping me out by saying repository so much. Is that why you're talking about colonoscopies?
It wasn't suppository.